Hey, Scott here. This is a kind of video we've never done at Theology Lab before, but I had to share it on the channel. It's the story of a guest who was on Theology Lab, Amy Peeler. She teaches New Testament at Wheaton College. And the video is about what it was like for Amy to do a Theology Lab interview. It's about how she sees the public side of her work as both a service to others and how she experiences God in that work. I wanted to share it because it points to what things like Theology Lab are ultimately about. And that's a hope that we can be gifts to one another, and that God might even be at work in the conversation between an interviewer and a guest. Here's a story from Amy Peeler.
Hi, I'm Amy Peeler, and I'm going to do a God sighting on being a guest at Theology Lab. So for a very long time, I've been an academic. That is what I wanted to do as a young person. I teach undergraduates all the way to PhD students at Wheaton College, and my focus is New Testament. I also serve the church. I've been ordained since 2016. I'm an associate rector at St. Mark's Episcopal Church in Geneva, Illinois. And I do a lot of writing and speaking and traveling. That's the new part, primarily about Mary and God and gender, but also the Epistle to the Hebrews. It has been really exciting the last few years to be asked to speak about my work. When an author writes, your greatest fear is that no one will ever read it. And that hasn't happened with my work on Mary and God and gender. The book is Women and the Gender of God. People want to know what I was thinking. And so it's been wonderful, for instance, to come on Theology Lab and get to investigate, to converse about what it means that God values women, Mary's story. When people want to know more, these topics are very important to me. I think they disclose the goodness of God. And so when I have an opportunity to talk with others about them, it is an incredible grace and joy. I really see this work as an act of service. I believe these topics matter. We have some misunderstandings about God, and when we do, our faith has some poor results. So if we can understand God's goodness as revealed through the incarnation, this is important for the vibrancy of the church. So when I do a podcast like Theology Lab, which was so much fun, I am honored that people want to know about subjects that I think are important. I'm drawing from my expertise, but what I've noticed happening is that God often has a surprise for me, something unplanned. And where this has happened most often is when my interviewers want to know a little bit more about my personal story. So my publications have resulted in some really challenging situations where God has showed up. So there have been some conversations in which I am just brought to tears because I get to testify of God's goodness. And I didn't start that podcast saying, I'm going to cry today. And yet God ministered to me again through the care and concern of my interviewer, as well as a new sense of how God has been present in this journey. I'm very grateful that I get to be both in the academy and the church keeps me honest because they don't really care that I have a PhD. They're just trying to do life and follow Jesus. When I do podcast, it's often questions that come from a non-academic sphere, and that makes me realize, oh, this is probably what my parishioners are thinking too. It takes me into a different arena, and it allows me to imagine the questions that might come, so when I'm exegeting scripture to preach, I know what questions might be in their minds. And so my work, my hope and prayer is that it gives us a grander picture of God, and we want to just fall down and worship, and sometimes that happens. I'm in my office writing or have an amazing podcast like with Theology Lab, and I really feel the need to get on my knees and express my gratitude to the Lord.